Your backyard may look nothing like mine, but in this video, together, we'll examine Friluftsliv, Norway's open-air living concept that is one of the reasons the Norwegians are supposedly the happiest people in the world. My family's been experimenting with Friluftsliv to see whether we can benefit from it, even though we live in Indonesia, closer to the equator than to the Arctic. Obviously, we're not experts, but our conclusion from these experiments is that by incorporating the following concepts into your life, into your routine, you can deepen your connection to nature and adopt Friluftsliv no matter where you are. Before we dive into it, if you're interested in more inspiration for leveling up your personal and professional reinvention journey, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to receive updates. Okay, so the term Friluftsliv means free air life, and it's been around since the 1850s when Norwegian playwright Henrik Ibsen used the term to describe the value of spending time in remote locations outdoors for spiritual and physical well-being. This is not a super foreign concept to many of us, but like other forms of nature therapy, Friluftsliv is more than just your average walk through the woods. We determined that Friluftsliv seems to include the following elements. First, connecting with nature every single day and observing the changes in nature, seeing the opportunity of each season, and giving back by helping others appreciate nature. The first item, connecting with nature every day, is simple enough, but especially during these pandemic times, it really required some effort, at least on our part, to make sure we prioritize time outdoors every single day. You can see here one of our Friluftsliv activities, which was traveling the 1 hour from our place to explore local rice fields and really taking note of how the colors and look of the fields changed during different times in the rice planting season. Clearly, this is very different from skiing, snowshoeing, other winter sports that Norwegians probably do to connect with nature. But living near the equator, the only ice nearby is in our freezers. So we tried our best to incorporate daily activities that fit where we live and fit the season. Things like swimming, hiking, other warm weather, and outdoor sports. In our research on Friluftsliv, there seemed to be sort of a celebration of the fact that being outside in Norway in the middle of winter involves a certain element of hardship, maybe even a little bit of suffering. And that this hardship of being in the cold, in snow, maybe a little bit miserable in the face of unpleasant weather is part of what makes Friluftsliv enjoyable. It builds a kind of resilience and an appreciation of how powerful and amazing, how immense nature really is. There's this quote that gets thrown around a lot, and it goes something like, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing, and maybe that's what applies here. So rather than avoiding the outdoors because of the season or because of the weather, part of this experience involves paying attention to the changes in nature and adapting to them, learning to appreciate them. It's easy to assume that living here in the tropics, people like us miss out on understanding the hugeness and power of nature because there's no ice or snow or long stretches of darkness in the winter here. And it's true, we don't need heavy jackets or hats to deal with the weather, but we do have our fair share of challenges in celebrating Friluftsliv. So in our experiments, getting outside every single day, we dealt with insane downpours of the rainy season, mosquitoes, other pests, and even some volcanic activity. But in part, celebrating Friluftsliv is seeing the opportunity that each season brings. And that's something that we felt we could realize, probably that you can realize no matter where you are. We've come to appreciate the downpours of the rainy season, the incredible greens, the colors that the rain brings out. And the cloudy days for us made us appreciate the sun more when it was around. Here you can see what we saw when we were staring into the crater of an active volcano a couple hours away from where we live. Little did we know that this area was only about a day away from a local eruption in a neighboring volcano, and that this was some sort of pre-eruption indigestion, some kind of sort of seismic burp. Probably not the best place to participate in Friluftsliv, but it was a truly awe-inspiring experience and one that brought us closer to nature. Overall, forcing ourselves to get out into nature every single day, to stay aware of the changes and enter a mode of observing nature, learning to appreciate nature and the hardships of nature, gave us a much greater sense of connectedness to our environment and our natural surroundings. And that leads me to a final point that seemed to come up in our own explorations of Friluftsliv, which is finding ways to connect with and give back to others through time spent outdoors. During this time of the pandemic, it's so easy to get into the habit of becoming reclusive due to the dangers of unnecessary exposure to others. And we 100% get that. But if you're with family or you have a small bubble of friends or close people that you are spending time with, turning that shared time into shared time together outdoors or in nature allows you to explore Friluftsliv, connect with them, and connect with nature in a really enriching way. What I'm saying here probably sounds obvious, but it's something so many of us ignore or take for granted. Too often, our time in nature is spent Instagramming, distracted by our phones, or not really present, not really aware of our environment. And part of what distinguishes Friluftsliv from just spending time outdoors seems to be the intentionality of it. Actually prioritizing quality time connecting with nature instead of just going outdoors to exercise or to pass time. So that was our experience. If you've had exposure to Friluftsliv, or if you're trying to incorporate it into your own life, I welcome your thoughts and especially your comments below. If you've experienced Friluftsliv, or if you happen to be Norwegian and have grown up with it, I'd also be very happy for your pointers and your advice. Thank you, and hope to see you next time.